Hey there, you sexy beasts. This is Arielle Devito with Be More Than Fit Personal Training, bringing you your weekly health and fitness life hack. The definition of a ritual is a series of actions or type of behavior regularly and invariably followed by someone. It's so easy for us to point out our inconsistencies and focus on the negative. Today, I want you to flip your perspective on its head. Ask yourself, what are your current rituals and where can you sneak a healthy habit in? For example, cueing yourself to drink a full glass of water right after you brush your teeth in the morning, or maybe performing a 3-minute stretching routine at the beginning of a work break. This week, take a look at where you can set up a series of actions that help you create small health improvements throughout your day. Small actions made consistently over time lead to big results. For more tips or to speak with a trainer, contact us through our website at www.bemorethanfit.com or find us on our Facebook page, Be More Than Fit Studio. This is Arielle, reminding you that you deserve the best quality of life available, and it's yours for the taking.
All right, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Killeleagh Show. I have a wonderful guest here with me today, Diamando Stratakos, and she's going to be sharing a few different things with us, especially her beautiful business called GOLIVE Spartan, but most importantly, her story and her passion for all things related to health and wellness, yoga, mindfulness. There's this whole world inside of this woman, and I'm so excited for today's conversation. So, starting to unpack this a little bit, can you tell us, Diamando, just a little bit about you and what this beautiful business is that you started?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me here.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
So a little bit about me. I grew up in upstate New York. I'm from Ithaca, and my dad was born in Greece, in Sparta. And I have always had this feeling of this, Spartan warrior inside of me, but also just grew up in this community of this cultural element that it was so important to bring people together. And that's part of being Greek and also part of being from Ithaca, because Ithaca is such a unique place that is so focused on community. So it became a part of who I was. And I started from a very young age, like starting clubs and getting into theater and creating social groups and bringing people together. And I ended up studying theater in college and started getting into yoga from a very early age because I was lucky enough that my niece grew up in Saudi Arabia and had these people from India who were teaching her when she was like 3 years old. And so she was 3 and I was 12 and she was teaching me yoga. And it just really reinforced this idea of like, we can grow so much when we're learning from other people, no matter where those people come from or how old they are or what they do, that there's always something to learn and grow. And I just kind of let that run inside of me. And it had a lot of ups and downs. And over the years, I've started multiple businesses. I ran theater companies. I started an olive oil business. And then I just kind of settled on this.
You still have the olive oil business, right?
I still have an olive oil business. Yeah. And it's certainly a part of my like health and wellness journey. And the olive oil business is kind of what brought me to this passion for agrotourism and learning from the land and learning from communities and really being a part of where you are and giving as much as you're taking. And that really, in 2012, I went to Greece because I was trying to get into grad school for acting. And I was like, all right, this is the last thing. Like, if I don't get into grad school for acting, I'm moving on to the next phase of my life. And I've always been the type of person who's like, yeah, if this is not meant for me, the next thing might be. You just keep trying.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get into grad school for acting, but I was sitting in the mountains in a village, population 200, where there were more goats than people. And I'm like looking out on my balcony and looking at these olive trees, and you just get this feeling of belonging, and like the earth was pulling me in some way, and I had to answer that call. And I just immersed myself in this learning about olive oil, and then that really became learning about how the land and food and what you do connects to who you are and where you're from, and generational, how you're just brought up through history and what that makes you as a person. And so that turned into my wellness business, because I decided I wanted to focus on retreats that would bring people to places where they could learn from the locals and really get their hands in the land. And so, yeah, then this pandemic hit, and I was like, cool, I'm not hosting any retreats in person anytime soon. But I'm not the type of person to take that as something to stop me. So I got my yoga teacher certification, which I've been talking about doing for 10 years. And I was like, well, now's the chance. I don't have my job managing in hospitality. This is exactly the opportunity I needed. I got my meditation certification. I got my NLP certification. And then I hosted an online retreat. And yeah, that's just where it happened.
It's so great. And I actually can feel myself sitting next to you, on the land in Greece, right? As you're describing it, which is so amazing. I do want to point out, though, because this was something that I was checking out not that long ago, that even though you can't take people physically on these retreats right now, you do have a really cool product that you offer, which is a retreat in a box, right? That people can actually order from you. So can you talk about that?
Sure. So the retreat in a box came from failure. So I hate the word failure because it has such a negative connotation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I've managed to turn failure into such a positive word for myself. So my online retreat had very few sales. And I think, I did it in October. People had already reached this point of Zoom fatigue, and it was still nice out, and they were like actually enjoying seeing people and being in nature. And I was like, well, this is unfortunate. I've put a lot of effort into this product. What can I do with it? Mm-hmm. And I was on a long walk myself, and I was out in nature, and nature always inspires me. And suddenly I just got this idea that I recorded all of the stuff that I did in this retreat. Why would I not make it available in a packaged format with also some fun things that people can use? And, it ends up being a tiny little box that fits in your purse, and it has...
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it has like my little diagram of 10 ways to be your own best friend, and the download courses, vegan cookbook, a printout for a tea meditation, slipper socks. I had to teach myself how to make scrunchies so that I could include them. It's got a yoga mat spray that I made myself, a tea strainer, like all of these things that are meant to be used with the classes that you get in a nice compact format that I envisioned people taking either to like a remote destination in nature, or just utilizing in their home so that they could feel like they're retreating somewhere, even when they don't have the ability to physically go somewhere.
Right.
And the ability to do it over and over again, and not have to have it all be hours and hours and hours of online staring at your computer screen. Like, there are ways to break it up so that you can do it over the course of a month, or you can really just disconnect and do it for 3 full days. It's a much more individualized process, and I love it because I launched it as like a holiday gift thing, but this is a gift you can give yourself year round. So
Absolutely. And I can imagine, those of us who are like starving for travel. Even just being able to, for example, like if I could drive to the Catskills and stay in an Airbnb and have that with me, right? And just have that own personal experience. But what I love are all those little physical, tangible elements that represent these ritualistic practices, right? They're like tiny little anchors for the whole experience. And something happened to me over this past year where I really felt called to those kinds of things, right? So if I was setting up for yoga class in my house, because I also, as you know, went through yoga teacher training last year. But as I'd be setting up, like I loved having all of the rituals attached to the experience. I loved, having my tea ready so that when I was finished, it was sitting there for me. And I loved having my favorite pair of cozy socks so that when it was time to go into Shavasana in the end, I had something warm to cuddle in. All of these little pieces just deepen the experience in this exponential way. Like you think they're just little details, but they're not. They're so rich. So I love that you've thought about, each of those details. So I hope people out there who are listening and watching get to check that out. So tell me the easiest way for people to get in touch with you. You have a website.
I have a website. It's www.golivespartan.com. Also, it can be pronounced Go Live Spartan. It's meant to be ambiguous on purpose. It's also GOLIVE. So, however a person remembers it. But yeah, I've got a website. You can contact me there. Actually, anyone who contacts me through my website and sends a form will get a free 20-minute consultation with me that they can use for whatever they want, whether it be productivity, confidence building, an NLP exercise, a quick yoga class. Just contacting me gets you 20 minutes to hang out with me however you want. But I also have my Instagram, which is @GoLiveSpartan, and I'm very active there. And I can be found on Clubhouse. I have a YouTube channel. I've got Facebook. I'm everywhere. However you want to find me, I'll just be happy that you found me.
I love it. I think about so many people out there who, own different businesses. In fact, one of my friends who owns a law firm, I think to myself, like with all of the different things that you offer in terms of yoga and mindfulness, and I know you even have creative writing in that whole mix, which really comes with that whole getting centered and mindfulness piece. But, for somebody like that, who is an employer who would like to really challenge their employees to take their health and wellness to the next level, being able to offer that as a gift, spending those 20 minutes chatting with you to figure out something that you might be able to do for maybe like a lunch and learn series for them, and then purchase the boxes for their employees, for example. There's so many possibilities there.
Yeah, I'm actually glad you brought that up because I forgot that. Well, I didn't forget, but I didn't mention. I also offer a corporate workshop series. So if you are a team builder or you're part of a team and you feel like working remotely or this strange time has kind of brought a different energy onto your team or you, I offer tons and tons of workshops, whether it be just a one-time 45-minute workshop or customized weekend-long retreats for your team. They're all focused at building productivity, confidence, teamwork, and I certainly am happy to discuss those options as well.
Yeah, I love that. That's something that's always spoken to my heart because I came from that 10-year career in finance. And for those of you who are watching and listening who don't know my show, it evolved as a space to bring good news to the world, right? Because we can turn on the TV and the news anytime and hear all the doom and gloom of the world. But there's so much amazing work and so many incredible humans on this planet doing great things. And I really, over the years, have become aligned with people who are into values-driven living and values-driven businesses. And that was one of the first things that stood out to me, Diamando, is like the health and wellness piece for you, but the community piece more than anything felt like such alignment for me. So I'm grateful to have you here. Now, one of the things I want to talk about that I think could be really beneficial to the people who are watching and listening is, what are you seeing when it comes to that fatigue we're talking about? Because I'm feeling it. right? But I know that there's like this huge spectrum that people are showing up with this like everything from like this cold depression to the fatigue of being on Zoom and the use of technology throughout the day and throughout the weeks, and this sort of like endless anxiety over when is this going to end, right? So what are you seeing? What are your thoughts and feelings on all of this?
It's such an important and difficult topic to discuss, and I guess I'm gonna get really personal for a second and say that the best way that I can talk about this is in the fact that I've started recently trying to do the online dating thing.
Mm.
And it's in that capacity, I have seen the spectrum from 0 to 100 in terms of how people are dealing with the circumstances around them. And of course, I'm gravitating to the people who have taken these past 11 months and have made them a positive thing for themselves. But there are so many people who have been brought down by it and can't seem to shift their perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so hard to shift your perspective when you're isolated and when you're inundated by all of this perceived negativity. And it's just like, that's why connecting and community is so important, because if you're lucky enough, if you're blessed enough to have that in your life, you will grow, and that energy will make the people around you grow. But if you don't have that, it's like, bring yourself into this cocoon and hope that spring is going to spring and you're going to become a butterfly, but like, you don't know. And I just, it's making me a little emotional, but when I hear these people who I'm talking to, I want so badly to just be like, it's okay. Everything's going to be okay. It doesn't feel like it right now, but this is a stepping stone to something greater. And it took me, I just turned 39 last week, and it took me 38 and a half years to truly believe that. But now I do believe that. And all I want is for everyone to feel that. But it's exhausting. This time is exhausting. And the only thing that will get us through is community and collaboration.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm grateful because, again, for the people watching, they don't know that we're also recently now engaged in a shared business venture as well. And I remember your reaction to the amount of community and connectivity that we create in that space, right? And so much of it is around personal development. You just said, if I knew there was this attached to it, like I would have shown up so much sooner, right? And I feel the same way about that. Like, I wish I could offer that to everyone. And when we started the pandemic, our team actually did sponsor a lot of like coffee talks and, Mama's comfort hours and, anything we possibly could just to bring people together to share what was on their mind and their hearts. And like you said, when you're in isolation, how do you have the opportunity to shift perspective? Because if you are going to open up, your laptop or turn on the TV or pick up your phone, chances are the information you're receiving is confirming whatever it is you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
So, one thing I want to talk about is the role of things like yoga and meditation in your own journey to being able to believe after 38 and a half years that everything's going to be okay. Because I know for me that deep inner resilience has definitely always been there, or I wouldn't be here, right? But the belief in it, the faith in it, the sitting in it and going like, everything's okay, did come for me from a very steady, committed practice of yoga and meditation. So I would love to hear your thoughts on that and how people could benefit from incorporating it into their life.
Yeah, no, well, first I'm going to say it's exactly as you describe it for me as well, because I've had phases of I'll do yoga for 3 weeks in a row and then I won't do it for a few months, or I'll meditate for 5 days and then I won't do it for a year. And
Here.
yeah, it's, and no judgment, like everyone's on their own journey and their own path, and that's okay. When the pandemic hit, I decided that I was going to do yoga every day. And I don't know what made me decide that. I was just like, what else am I doing? I'm in my home. My cousin is trapped here. She can't go back to Saudi Arabia. I now have a roommate. Like, I need to do something that's mine. And so from day one, I did yoga every day, and I have not missed a day that entire time. It took about 30 days before I decided, all right, I'm doing yoga every day. I might as well finally become a teacher. And then it only took me 2 months to complete my teacher training. It took me a month to complete my teacher training. And then I was like, I need to help other people do this. So I set up a series of 5-minute yoga classes, 30 days, 5 minutes, totally beginner level, that I imagined were for my mother. And my mom is that person who's like, I have injuries. I feel like I'm overweight. I have diabetes. I'm almost 70. I can't do yoga. And every single class that I designed, I was like, Mom, you can do this. Mm-hmm. And I found this community of people who were like suddenly able to do yoga. And I was like, this is the thing. This is what I want. Like, yoga is for everyone. And that just made me feel so much stronger and committed to what I was doing, that it fed me. So it was like this back and forth. I'm giving, and because I'm giving, I'm receiving so much. And then I really started to focus on meditation, which was like my like, ooh, I can't do this thing. Like, I think so much. Like, I may seem like a Zen hippie type of person from Ithaca, but I am not. I am like type A, like always have a million projects going on. Yeah. I'm like super organized, super motivated, like think, plan it all. And meditation was one of those things that I was like, I can't sit cross-legged on the floor. My back hurts. I've had hip surgery. I've had knee surgery. I have an autoimmune disease. There's so much inflammation. Like, meditation sucks. And because I had to create yoga classes that worked for people who didn't think they could do yoga, I had to come up with a way to meditate that worked for someone like me who didn't think they could meditate. And I purposely sought out walking meditations, tea meditations. I took myself to the driving range and just hit golf balls over and over again for an hour. Like, anything that's a repetitive action, even washing the dishes, can be a meditation. It's all about perception. And once I realized that, I was like, I'm meditating every day. Mm-hmm. And that made it so I could share that with people too. Like, it doesn't matter if you're thinking. It matters that you bring yourself back to whatever you're focusing on, whatever you're doing in the moment. And that doesn't need to be sitting cross-legged uncomfortably on the floor. Although I will say that now that I've been meditating for 60 days straight, I actually can sit on the floor for 10 to 20 minutes and my back doesn't hate me for it. So who knows?
Yeah. Growth happens, right?
Yeah.
We change.
Yeah.
We're incredible human beings. All right. I know we actually have to wrap up, but I want to point out a couple of things. So for those of you watching, GOLIVESpartan.com. You can actually go book a 20-minute call with this beautiful goddess, okay? And experience the wealth of knowledge that is up here. And in here and all over, right? It's like body, mind, soul. I love it. And we both have communities that you can be part of. So if you're in need of community and connection, we both host different communities that you can come be part of that are focused on things like health and wellness and connection. Not related to business, right? Just related to creating that community for people. And we will have a future endeavor we're working on as well that I think will be great for everybody. Also, for those of you watching, I want to give a shout out to Arielle Devito from Be More Than Fit, because she too is so great at bringing the ritualistic aspects of health and wellness to the table. So thank you for sponsoring today's show. But before we go, Diamando, I would love for you to give our listeners, our viewers, just a few last words of wisdom, if you might.
what can I say other than when you feel like life is too much to handle, give yourself just 1 minute and breathe. Just allow yourself to pause, because that 1 minute is not going to negatively affect anyone, but it will positively affect you.
Beautiful. I love it. I don't think there's one person watching or listening right now who can't benefit from that practice. So thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. And I look forward to exploring all of the future endeavors together.
Me too.